Oh my God, I've got killer tomato plants and killer pepper plants, not to mention the jungle of lettuce. Good morning, everyone. It's Stephen here for Bland Science and the Idiot Quilter, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, February the 20th, 2023. And for those of you that live in Ontario and other parts of Canada, happy Family Day, because this is a holiday for us here in Canada. And I believe it's President's Day in the States, so happy President's Day to you as well. So, what's been going on this week? Well, I showed this yesterday. You're probably getting sick and tired of seeing it. This is my quilt called Star-Crossed, and I'm just showing it to you as a little teaser for tomorrow, because tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter, if all goes well today, I will have this quilt completely finished. It will be bound. It's already quilted, although in this picture you can't see the quilting, because at the time I took this, it was just what they call the flimsy, the top. And I hadn't gotten it on Lucy, my long arm, yet to do that, to quilt it. But it is quilted now, and so this morning, after I'm finished this vlog, I'm going to get at it and get it bound, and it'll all be done. And I have some stories, as I always do with a quilt, to talk about this. So that's tomorrow on the Idiot Quilter. Okay, that's all I've got to show you that I've been working on, basically. But let's go and talk then about the YouTube channel of the week. This one's kind of interesting, another one I stumbled across. Most of my reviews are about ones that I have stumbled across. And this is called Next of Kin. This week's YouTube of the week is called Next of Kin. Countdown videos, original stories, and more. Basically, this is a very eclectic site because it has a lot of just fun video clips from various productions, various shows, all strung together around a theme. If we take a look at some of the popular videos that are listed here, we have 22 times That's What She Said was legitly funny. 12 times Professor McGonagall was a boss. 46 times Chandler Bing couldn't control his sarcasm, and it goes on from there. I stumbled upon this by accident because they had a little episode about a couple of characters in the Muppets that usually, I forget their names, Statler and something, and they're always criticizing the Muppet Show, if you ever watched the Muppet Show. And I mean, at times, Walter and I feel like that when we're on Stephen and Walter Live. But yeah, this is an amusing little time waster. There's some comedy to it as well. Most of it is kind of funny. And yeah, I just think it's one of those things that when you've got nothing else to watch and you just want to watch something that's, doesn't take a great deal of thought, then this might be a site for you to check out. Next of Kin. So you'll find the link for Next of Kin in the show notes below. You'll also find the reoccurring Zoom link for Sew and Craft with Me. Yeah, I don't know if this idea is working out very well. The unscheduled kind of there I am. And if you're lonely and want someone to sew with or just talk to or whatever, click the link and see if I'm here. I'll be honest, I have not made it available over the last few weeks on a ready basis, mainly because I figure you need a large chunk of time, and I've been busy doing other things and I just haven't had the chunks of time. But I'll leave it there for now. We'll see and what will happen from that. So if you are working alone in your sewing room or your craft room or whatever, and you want a little company, check out that link. Just click on it, and if I'm here, I'll answer you within a couple of minutes. If you don't get anything from me in about 2 minutes time, then you know I'm not there. Okay, and another event coming up, advanced warning. This is not until March the 1st, but that's coming up. It's 1 week from this Wednesday coming, and that will be Craft and Chat again, and that starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. The link is below. Now, I have made this a reoccurring link This was suggested that I do this by a couple of my subscribers who are regulars at Craft and Chat, and it makes sense. Rather than having to create a new link all the time, and at the risk of you getting confused as to which link is the active link, I have made it a reoccurring link, very much like the Sew and Craft with Me link, but it is a different link, okay? And it's the same code for Zoom every time. So my suggestion would be, if you can cut and paste this into something that you will look at on a regular basis, like I have a notepad, an electronic notepad on my computer where I put things like this in it, so they're always there. I don't lose them in my email and things like that. Then that might be a good idea, because that I'm going to keep the same all the time. So that's in the show notes below, but Craft and Chat does not happen until a week from this coming Wednesday, so March the 1st. I'm just giving you advance notice of it. And of course, I will always have the link in my show notes for all my productions the week before. And those of you on my mailing list, you'll be getting it direct to your email box as well. There is a link to an interview that I did last week with Teajuana Mahone from Quilts. Fascinating lady. If you haven't seen that interview yet, you really need to check it out. She does things with African fabrics that are amazing, and a lot of other amazing things too. You will find the latest episode of the Idiot Quilter there as well. Stephen and Walter live. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I don't know what to do about it. But it seems every week on Stephen and Walter live, I mean, we have our general chit chat, which is great with everybody that's on there, and we never know what direction we're going to go in with those. But I always try to have a theme as well, and they're all depressing. Yeah, they're all like bitch sessions. You know, this past week and today, I was bitching about the government, but then who doesn't bitch about the government? And I said to Walter, you know, this is a downer. We really need to look for topics that are more cheerful. And I really don't know what we can talk about on Stephen and Walter Live that is cheerful, because do we live in a cheerful world? I don't think we do anymore. So I'm kind of hard pressed to find, you know, good news stories or things like that. So if you have some suggestions, I don't know if we need to take Stephen and Walter Live in a different direction, and I'm not sure what that direction would be. But anyways, we're open to suggestions. We're always open to suggestions for any of the programs that I put up here on YouTube. You know, I do take whatever you tell me seriously, and it may not be exactly what I can usually work with almost anything. I can find a spin, if you wish, on it, or something that I can do with it. So what I'm asking for is a germ of an idea, and maybe I can develop it into something. But in the case of Stephen and Walter Live, we need something that's a little more cheery, a little bit more uplifting, I think, because there's enough grief in the world now. We don't need to contribute to it. So anyways, if you have thoughts, pass them on to me, either as a direct message in email or as a comment in, you know, the section for comments on any of our videos. Okay, so that takes me to, oh yeah, and so Chatty, we had the episode last week was Fear of Unboxing. We had a lot of comments about that one, so if you haven't seen it, check it out. All right. So what's going on outside my window today as far as weather is concerned? Well, lately it's been feeling a little spring-like, which is okay, but you know, I think it's a little premature. It's just moving towards the end of February. And yes, we would love to have spring right around the corner, but this is Canada, and where we live, we could have a big dump of snow yet. Now you can see outside on my front lawn, there's very little snow left. It's been dwindling away the last few days because we've had single-digit weather. I mean, remember it's Celsius for us here in Canada. And yeah, single-digit is still chilly. But when you're used to minus double digits, this is warm, very warm. In fact, I have seen more than one person on some of the past days that have been a little warmer, like 6, 8 degrees, 10 degrees Celsius, out in the shorts. Yep, those are wishful thinkers. Kind of admire them for that. Right now, the temperature is 0 degrees. I'm not sure what today's high is going to be. I'd have to look and see. I'm not even sure what's in the forecast, whether we're expecting snow anytime this week or rain or what. It's still kind of gray out. It's still kind of depressing and gloomy, but that's February, okay, in Canada, in this part of Canada anyways. Our weather varies across our country, just, maybe not as much of a variance as there is in, say, the United States between the north and the south, but we still have a variance of weather depending on where you are in Canada. So anyways, that's what the day is starting to look at, like at 7:45 in the morning. Okay, so that takes me to what's pissing me off this week. I just got done saying I didn't want to be negative, but I'm going to be negative, okay? Just as a side thought here, I've been doing what's pissing me off for quite a while, which is my rant, actually pretty much from almost day one of when I started doing the vlogs. And that's another segment, which I don't know. Do you think I should get rid of it, or do you think I should keep it? Again, I don't know. Maybe it's my mood today. I'm in a weird mood today. I'm feeling a little depressed. I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with things I need to get done or I want to get done. They're not a need. They're not things I need to do. They are self-imposed deadlines and projects and things like that. But I like to feel productive. Also, I guess what's hanging over my head is that we're coming near the end of the month, and end of the month is when I clean house. I hate cleaning, but I hate a dirty house even more. So I don't know. A lot of things going on in my head today. Sorry, I'm rambling. All right, let's talk about what's pissing me off. Politicians protecting politicians and not people. All right, what was the whole idea of establishing a government back when countries were formed or whatever? Well, basically, it was to keep everybody in line so we'd have a happier life, right? Create some rules, some guidelines, some laws to protect people's rights, to protect people's property, to keep society ordered. Okay, that's a good thing. And we've been doing it for centuries. And then in democratic countries, we decided it would be a really good idea to let the people have a say on how they're being ruled or managed. And so we created voting. And we vote for people who want to take on the responsibility to look after us. I mean, that is what basically, essentially, governments and politics are all about, isn't it? At the heart of it all, it's for the good of the people. Other people who want to help other people out. Yeah, that may have been the ideal, but that's far from what we have today. And it is so apparent. You just turn on the news, you pick up well, I guess no one picks up a newspaper anymore. You check the news on the internet, whatever. And what do we hear? More scandal in government, more people defrauding the government, doing fraudulent things like running away with the money that's in the government that's supposed to go to, the institutions that help people in our society, like healthcare, education, things like that. It's always bad news. And then these guys are bickering with each other, and I should say women as well, because women are in politics too. So these people in government are constantly fighting to be on top, and they forget all about the rest of us. And this has been very apparent during COVID and even right now. In our own situation here in Ontario, right next door, Toronto, the capital of Ontario, the mayor has resigned because he had an affair with a staff member. Very inappropriate. I don't know what she saw in the old fart, because he's old, he's ugly. Well, obviously she saw money, because he is a millionaire several times over. The man is rich. That's another thing about politicians. All of them have money, lots of money, more than you and I have. And that's why they're in politics, for one reason, or why they can get into politics, because it takes money to get into politics. But I'm running ahead of myself here. So back to John Tory, the ex-mayor of Toronto. He resigned, but not until he pushed the budget through. And he was determined this budget was going to go through. And in that budget, which was very controversial for many reasons, I mean, he was raising taxes because the city of Toronto doesn't have any money to run anything. They squander it. They're such a poorly run city. I mean, really, if people ran their households like the city of Toronto, the councillors on the city council of Toronto run it, they would be definitely be out in the streets. No two ways about it. He wants to put more money, or he pushed through a huge amount of money to the police force. Now, is he thinking that more money to the cops is going to decrease the very rapidly rising crime rate in Toronto? And I mean, it's scary in Toronto. There's just people are being harmed, bodily harmed, slashed with knives, robbed at gunpoint, pushed in front of subways, beaten up. Every day you hear about it on the news, and the cops do nothing. They do nothing. So John Tory is pushing through a budget that wants to give the cops $45 million more, putting their budget, their yearly budget, to $1.16 billion. Yeah, I said billion dollars. Yeah. For what? Look at the problems that are happening in the States right now with the police force. I mean, their policy seems to be shoot first, ask questions later. That is pretty much the way it is in Canada, at least in Ontario, too. So yeah, let's give them more money to buy bigger guns so they can kill more people. Yeah. Now, am I down on the police force? Yeah, I am. I think the police force needs to be revamped. I think the training that cops are getting is not good. They're not being trained to handle situations where the person needs help in terms of mental health, which is one place where many advocates for homeless people and mental health say that that money that's going to the cops, that money should be redirected to support services for mental health. And I agree. People are crazy. They need help. But no, John Tory is giving it all to the cops. And then he resigned. Why did he resign? Well, I told you, he had an affair. But he did not go until he got that budget put through. So now, the city of Toronto, which is already in a mess, is in a bigger mess. Because they have to replace the mayor. In the meantime, the deputy mayor is taking over. Not a great deal of hope for her on that. And it's going to take 6 to 8 months for them to get in place a by-election to elect a new mayor. Now, if you want to be the mayor of Toronto, you can be. Anybody can run for mayor, as long as you have anywhere between $800,000 to $1 million, because that's what they said it costs to run for mayor. So there you go. You're not going to find the average Joe running for mayor because they can't afford it. So that's what we have in our government these days. And this is at all levels. I was just using Toronto as one example, but there is corruption. There is power-hungry, rich individuals who are only out looking for their own concerns at all levels of government, right up. And it's the same in every country in the world. And so there we are. Nobody is protecting us. That's what they're supposed to be doing. That's why we go to the polls. That's why we vote them in. They're supposed to be looking after our best interests. The only interests they're looking after are their own. Now, I know this is not news. This is not a startling revelation to anyone with half a brain. We know this. But the problem is, what do we do about it? I don't know. But I put a warning out there to politicians. It's getting to the point where the average Joe has had enough and will revolt. It's been happened in the past. All you have to do is go to the history, and you will see that the peasants have risen up, they've had enough, and they overthrow the governments. Look at the French Revolution. Look at the Russian Revolution. Look at many, many uh, upheavals and revolutions across the world that have happened not just in the long forgotten past, but in the 20th century and right into our century now. This is scary. People are getting PO'd. So watch it, politicians. You may think you are untouchable, but you are not. But let's just hope that good sense will prevail and that something will happen that will, you know, get things back into line a little bit more so. Like, look after the little guys. If you look after the little guys will look after you. That should be their motto. That should be their philosophy, really. Okay, moving on to product review. Well, I did buy some new things online, of course. I usually do. Just let me see if I can find those things to show you on here. And just bear with me for a sec. So, I got thinking that, you know, I really don't drink enough water. And you hear everybody talk about, you know, you should be drinking water and all that kind of thing, right? Well, I've decided I'm going to drink more water. So I bought myself a little fancy water bottle. This water bottle is a SodaStream one. We do have a SodaStream. And it holds 500 milliliters. So it works out that I need to drink about 8 of these in a day. And I am trying my best. Here's my little bottle right here. Yeah. But I get busy and I forget to drink water. Why am I doing this? Well, I have some problems with my feet. Circulation or something in my feet. I've had that for a while. And yeah, just general aches and pains, you know, it comes with age. So I'm thinking maybe water will help because I think I'm dehydrated a lot. I've always been that way in my life though, you know. I'm like a camel. So I bought this bottle. It looks nice. I can use it in my SodaStream if I wish to have sparkling water. And yeah, isn't that exciting? I bought a water bottle. The other thing that's exciting is I bought an air compressor. Now, this I bought to clean out my 3D printers and to clean out my sewing machines. I have canned air. Now, in the case of sewing machines, though, there's a lot of people out there that say never use canned air with your sewing machine when you're blowing the insides out because there's moisture in there. And that just makes like lint and fuzz and that just get really matted and gum up your gears. Now, I'm usually very careful. I don't use canned air all the time with it. I'll usually blast the air, you know, out into space before I blast it on the sewing machine because there is moisture in it. It's the, what do you call it? Whatever forces the air out kind of a thing. There's a name for that and I can't think of it right now, but whatever. So I use it very sparingly. But then I was over at Whirls and Swirls, my dealer for my long arm the other day to get a few things. And she was showing me this. She uses it to clean her long arm. Now we have a small, you know, what do you call it? Professional like air compressor, you know, that plugs into the wall and everything like that, that, you know, will just, you know, blow you over 10 miles away kind of a thing. And I use that on my Lucy. But this, I thought, this would work okay with the sewing machine and the 3D printer. So I ordered one on Amazon. As you can see, they aren't particularly cheap. And I was a little worried that this might not give out enough air. Actually, it works really well. It has 3 settings and it works fine. It's rechargeable, plugs in with a USB, and it comes with a straight nozzle and it comes with one with a brush on the end. So it's good for like cleaning your keyboard too on your computer, that kind of thing. Now, are you going to get the same pressure of air that you get on the compressor I was talking about? No, of course not. But for what I want to use it for, so far, I'm very happy with it. Now, I did read some reviews where people said that they had some problems. It died on them after only about a month. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But other ones have said they've been using it for a long time and it works really well. And I must say that the company that manufactures this sent me an email by way of Amazon just to make sure, with some tips and tricks, just to make sure I knew how to turn it on. Now you're going to say, well, you just pull the trigger, the button, turn it on. Yes and no. When I first got it out of the box, the instructions said that there would be a residual charge on it, and you should use that charge up and then plug it in for a full charge. So I squeezed the trigger on it, nothing happened. I figured, okay, well, in the time it's been in the box, the battery has worn down, so I plugged it in for a few hours. After it had been plugged in for about 3 or 4 hours, I figured, okay, it's probably charged up now. I gave a squeeze on the little button on the trigger, and nothing happened. And then, I remembered it said in the book, you've got to hold that button for 3 seconds and then away it will go. And it did. And that's exactly what they said in this little email that they sent me via Amazon. So I guess they've had people return them and not realizing, not reading the little instruction booklet that came with it that says, you got to hold the trigger in for 3 seconds. So far, I'm very happy with it. It is a little pricey for what it is. Fairly good construction. So, yeah, I'm happy. And that's all that matters. Yeah. Okay, so that's the newest things that I have acquired. So how are the grow lights doing, you may wonder? Well, let me see if I can get up the latest picture I took of the grow lights on here. And let's go down here. And that's where I want it to go. And so here is grow light setup number 1. This was our original one. And you can see we have a wild jungle happening in here. Our herbs have taken over. The lettuce that's in it is pretty much done, I think. So Walter was saying he was going to, cut this stuff back, repot a few things and get this cleaned up a little bit. But I have to say this, as far as herbs are concerned and lettuce, has been a great experiment, very successful. Now here's grow light number 2. Get ready for this. Look at this. The lettuce is wonderful, just doing really well. I think this brand of lettuce is called Lakeside, something like that. It grows really well under lights, we have found. And those taller plants, the taller ones are my tomatoes, and the shorter ones are my green peppers. Now we have a problem. I'm not sure how much taller these things are going to get. We're getting to almost the maximum height of the grow light. I think we've got a couple of inches to go. So this is kind of scary. Now, Walter was talking about possibly getting some grow lights that we can hang from the ceiling out in the workshop. And if he's got a spot out there, he was thinking that he could clear away, and then we could take things like this that grow a little taller and put them under that. I have to talk to him about that idea more because, yeah, these are coming on pretty big. Now you're going to say, well, you're an idiot. You should know tomato plants and peppers grow tall. Yes, but the tomatoes that I bought are called dwarf tomatoes. They're little cherry tomatoes. And it said that the bushes grew 12 to 18 inches tall. Well, my maximum height on this grow light is 18 inches. So I thought, well, this might work. Not sure. But anyways, the lettuce is coming on, and we've been eating the lettuce as well. And we found that something we read said you should cut the outer leaves first and move your way towards the center and leave the center intact, because that will generate more lettuce from the same plant. So that's what I've been doing, and we will see how that works out. But so far, so good. I'm really enjoying this experiment. And it's really nice. Last night we did a chicken Caesar salad for dinner, and I used lettuce from our lettuce, and I used herbs. I like to throw in a little basil and things like that, and it all came from our little grow light thing. And you don't need to wash it because it's not sprayed with insecticides or anything like that. It's all very organic. It's just nice. You take a bowl, clip off some leaves and the whole bit, you got a salad. So what would be really nice if I could add to my salad my own tomatoes and my own green peppers under here. Time will tell. Time will tell. Okay, so that takes me to the 3D corner, and I've been madly making these things. My little gnome pin cushions and clip holder. I'm making these as gifts, and I've got about, I think I've got over 20 of these made in various colors. Now not all of them have a pin cushion in them at the moment. They will have when I get around to that. But I'm going to a retreat in December, and I'm going to take a bunch of these down. I'm going to make up some little goodie bags for the other people going to the retreat. Don't tell anybody, it's a secret. And I have some other ideas as well that I cannot share with you at this moment in time because, one, I don't know if they will happen, and two, I don't want you to know yet. Anyways, yeah, got you wondering now what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so yeah, that's what I've been working on madly. That and the Easter bunnies. I showed you those last week. Making about 10 of those, just in case we go over to my sister's for Easter dinner this year. And I'm going to fill them with those Cadbury mini eggs and everything and put one on each person's place setting. You know, just for fun. Because I like to do things just for fun. Okay, so that takes me to Blast from the Past. We are starting a new series, although it's still based in Australia. But this is our trip in 2016. This was our first trip to New Zealand and Australia. Actually, we've only ever been to New Zealand once, and that was this particular trip. And this was a cruise that we were on. So we had to board the cruise ship in Auckland. So that's the northern island of New Zealand. And New Zealand is a beautiful, beautiful country. You know, so if you're into hiking and nature and all that kind of stuff, you should go to New Zealand. You'll absolutely love it. But this was taken on, or this first part is December the 6th, 2016. Basically our first day in Auckland. Okay, so here we are at the Princess Wharf, and here somewhere we will be catching our cruise ship in 3 days' time. We're just kind of just checking it out. It's about 8:30 in the morning, and not a lot of activity going on down here yet, although we did pass a lot of restaurants and bars and things. Supposedly our hotel is sort of in the center of all of that, and it can get a little loud at night. Not that that's really going to bother us, especially not tonight, because I have a feeling I'm going to sleep like a rock. So we're going to carry on today with our explorations to see what we'll see. So here's another view of Auckland from Princess Wharf. This is where all the ferries supposedly come into and go from. And in the distance you can see the Auckland Tower, which we're going to probably be heading up towards there at some point today. Interesting waterfront. Okay, so here we are. We're going up the Sky Tower in Auckland. We're in the elevator right now. We're going to the top to get the best view of the city, I guess, from this vantage point. You can jump off of this. I'm not doing that today, or any day. And you can also do a walk on it, but I've already done the CN Tower, so I'm not going to do the walk. We're just going to take a look at the view. Okay, so here's the view from the Sky Tower.
It'd be a little clearer.
Yeah, it's not that clear today, and the windows aren't that clean. But it gives you a bit of an idea as I walk around here, what we're seeing. Looking down. And there's the bridge in the distance. It's a Tuesday. Not a lot of people up here at the moment. A few kids, as you can hear. And we'll just carry our way around. Walter doesn't seem to be petrified because he's not outside yet. And we'll see some more. Okay, in the distance, this is up on the 60th floor of the Sky Tower, and in the distance you can see that's a volcano. Roll it in a little closer. So that's kind of neat. And also still up here on the top of the tower, you can see where we are staying, right there. See where all the boats are? If we go a little closer in, just in front of those boats, right there in the center of the screen, that's our hotel. Okay, so now we're going back down, and this is looking at this, and I'm trying to keep the glare off it, it's a little better, through the glass part of the floor in the elevator. Kind of looks sort of science fiction-y, doesn't it? And we're coming up, I think, now to the bottom. Whole tower's about 60 stories high. Okay, so there we go. We're in the dark now, so we're getting up. So this is down along the waterfront in Auckland, and they have this thing up here that we just walked to the top of, which kind of reminds me of the High Line in New York City. And I guess it looks like it probably lights up at night, so we may have to catch that later on. You got a good view of the tower in the distance and of the city in the distance as well. This whole area has been redeveloped, and so it's got some, looks like some trendy bars and whatnot in it. So maybe some good places to eat. Okay, so we've spent the morning and the early part of the afternoon walking around down here and all over the place, as you've seen from some of the other videos, and now it's cocktail hour, and I have a feeling we're going to be eating in the room tonight. There's Walter sucking back some chocolate, very good chocolate, although I think we can get it in Canada, Whitaker, salted caramel. Now we're pairing it with a lovely New Zealand wine, which I have no idea what it's called, but it was cheap, and actually for cheap wine it's not too bad at all. So here's the view again from our balcony, and we had lunch down, just it's out of shot right now, a place called Degrees, and it was actually quite good. And our waitress happened to be from Canada. She happened to be from where in Canada, did she say?
Kelowna.
Kelowna, yeah, she was from Kelowna, BC. I kind of wondered when she didn't have a New Zealand accent, but anyways, I asked her about it, and so that's where she's from. So anyways, we have seen a lot of Auckland today. Maybe too much, because we've still got 2 more days, although we've got a planned tour coming up with that as well. Auckland's nice. It's the largest city in New Zealand. Over 1 million people. I'm not sure exact number. So it takes me to events in the past week. And of course, we got just last Tuesday was Valentine's Day. Now, we don't usually do anything for Valentine's Day. And we've had this discussion with many of you. And most of you are pretty much the same way, you know, Valentine's Day, bah, humbug, you know, whatever. But Walter did surprise me by preparing a very special Valentine's dinner, which was really nice. We had surf and turf. He got out a steak and the sous vide and some lobster tails. We love lobster, and every now and then Costco has some really great frozen lobster tails, and they don't have them often. So when we see them, we buy them because, one, they're a good price. You get quite a few in a bag, and they're not a bad size. So we have a supply of them in our freezer. So he did that with some other things and whatnot, and made a nice salad as well to go with it. I did a what did I do? Sort of I call it a deconstructed wedge salad, if you know what a wedge salad is. Wedge salad is basically a wedge out of a head of iceberg lettuce, and you throw some bacon bits and some other things on it and put a little blue cheese dressing on it. They serve it at the Keg, one of our favorite restaurants. Anyways, I did something like that with our lettuce, and we had some romaine in the fridge too. And he bought a really nice bottle of wine, one of our favorites, that has gone up in price considerably since the last time we bought it. It was nice. It was a nice evening, you know, for that. So, yeah. So we did do something on Valentine's Day. We ate. Okay, and what else happened in the past week? Nothing much. working on various projects. Bought something that I had to take back to Whirls and Swirls that I will be talking about on the Idiot Quilter tomorrow. Yeah, that was all. We went to Kawartha Quilting one day too, because I ordered some batting and I had to pick it up. Again, something I'll talk about on the Idiot Quilter. So yeah, last week, with the exception of that nice dinner on Valentine's Day, was uneventful. Okay, so what's coming up? Well, I already talked about the Craft and Chat. That's March the 1st, though, not this week. And I have now pretty much formalized my presenters for this spring's retreat, my Idiot Quilter Spring Retreat, which will be on May the 6th. I have not sent any information out about that yet. I will be. I'm starting to gather all of my materials, my plans, and everything for that. And I'll be announcing that probably in March, early March, getting things on the way for that. So keep March the 6th open if you're interested, because that's the actual date of the spring retreat. And that's about all that's coming up that I can think of. Yeah, nothing else too terribly exciting. So I guess on that, it's time to go. So I hope you have a great week. I hope it's eventful. I hope things are working well in your world as well. And, you know, spring is just around the corner. So hang in there for spring. Yay. Okay, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.